Hello, my name is Tony Blazer. I'm the sales manager here at Buick GMC in Woodbridge, and we just received our first of the all-new 2021 SLT Yukons. I also have one of the Denalis also came in at the same time, and I'm just going to go over a little bit of what's on the SLT and contrast it with the difference between it and the Denali. There's a pretty significant difference in cost. This particular SLT is about $12,000 less than a Denali, so even though they are very similar vehicles, you do get a lot of extra bang for your buck when you get the Denali. Now here on the outside, the first thing you'll notice is the exterior is a little bit different. Most of the body panels are actually the same, but the grille is different on the SLT versus the Denali. The Denali has a signature grille with a little different design. The front end, though, is very similar. The wheels are different, of course. You'll also notice on this SLT it has just the standard running boards. They do not retract. The ones on the Denali you'll see here in a minute, they actually retract in and out. But as I said, mostly on the body, on the outside, they are very similar. Of course, you're going to have a Yukon badge here on the side instead of Denali. But other than that, they are very similar in terms of overall appearance. So if you're looking for the style of the Denali but don't want to quite spend the same amount of money, you do get about 90% of that with the SLT. Now here on the inside, though, you'll see a pretty significant difference. The SLT has a unique dash for 2021. It's all new this year. It is shared with the SLT, the SLE model, and also the new AT4 model, which is an all-new model for this year. Now here are some of the active safety features that are built in, even at the SLT level. You of course have your traction control, your lane keep assist, has park assist monitoring in the back. The auto stop feature is defeatable, so it does have an auto stop, and that's designed to cut down on emissions, save a little fuel in the city. You can defeat it if you want to. This one does have the electronic trailer brake, so if you plan on doing some towing, that has a nice feature. People who tow love that. This does have a full suite of four-wheel drive settings. You have auto. What that does is basically you put it in auto. If you're in a situation where you're not sure if you need four-wheel drive or not, you can go ahead and leave it in auto. It'll automatically select which wheels get the most power. Too high is what you normally use for most dry conditions like today, where you're not going to want to have the four-wheel drive engaged for any reason. It'll save you a little bit of fuel economy, wear and tear in the powertrain. There's a 4 high mode for using snow, and of course a 4 low if you're pulling your boat out of the water, you want to go on the beach or something like that. This is your auto headlights. Auto headlight control is really nice on these. It's nice you set it and forget it. This is your dimmer for the dash. Your steering wheel here is tilting and telescoping, which is nice. Nice little feature. And of course you have a fully adjustable power seat, and the SLT is going to come standard with leather seating with this nice piping on it. There are a couple different interior colors. This is the ebony interior, but you can get a lighter shade as well if you like that. All right, so I moved inside the vehicle here. Hopefully the audio is a little better. It's a little windy outside today. Now here, as you can see, the dash is completely different than what you're going to see in the Denali. The overall angle of the dash itself is a little bit different, and in the Denali, this is actually built into the actual dash itself. Here it sits up a little bit higher. The overall controls are very similar. There's a lot of the same functionality, just has a totally different appearance. You're going to see less wood throughout the vehicle, and the wood is not the open pore design you see in the Denali. The Denali has a little nicer wood inside. The stitching is actually a little different too. You'll see this has a more traditional stitching, and you'll see there's like a more open design stitch to the Denali leather. Gives it a really premium look. Even the SLT, though, very nicely equipped. There's leather throughout, nice wood. Notice the door panel here is a little different. This is an open pore wood in the Denali, and the shape of the door panel is a little bit different. It's similar, but there is a nice uniqueness to the Denali, gives it a little different flair. Now this is a very nicely equipped SLT, though. You're going to see it has the skyscrape dual panel roof here in it. You have the quad seating in the second row here, and you have, of course, the third row. And the third row is significantly larger. For 2021, there's 40% more legroom. In the old model, I'm 5'8". I could not sit in the old one really without sitting side saddle. It was really for children only. And in this new one, I can actually sit in the third row. So you can actually make the third row useful in a way that the old model just was not. It just didn't have that interior space in it like this new one does. This here in the Denali, you can see is covered, and this is a more open design. But the center console itself is about the same size. There's not a whole lot of difference in terms of actual functionality, unless you get the power retractable one that comes in some of the upper models that actually will slide the center console into the second row, which is pretty cool. But that's not available yet, so I haven't got our first one with that feature, but I will definitely highlight that when they come in. With the new touchscreen display, as I said, it is larger, and they also have the new 360 view. This is something added to the Yukons for 2021. It was not available in the previous model, so you'll see that when you put it in reverse, you're going to get the 360 camera view, which gives you a bird's eye. I think is always really cool. Almost looks like you have a little drone atop of the car. And you'll notice that when you turn the wheel, it definitely changes your trajectory there. moving back and forth. And then here you're going to have different selectable views based on what you're trying to do. This is let's say you're trying to line up a trailer, you're trying to see, you know, parallel park or what have you. You can scroll through these different views and get different viewpoints there depending on what you're trying to do. It's a really nice feature. It makes a vehicle like this, it's a little bit larger, much easier to handle. I love this. This may be one of the best things they've added to these cars in the last few years. So definitely something to take advantage of. And it makes it a little easier to drive these things, particularly if you're driving in town or somewhere where it's a little tough to park. It is a larger vehicle for sure. That 360 view could definitely help you make it a little bit easier. We're going to move here into the back. Now, as I said, this one does have the quad seats, the captain's chair in the middle. You can get a bench. It is optional. We haven't got a bench in yet. These are all very new. This is the first one we've got an SLT, but I do have benches coming. Now, one new thing here for 2021, the seats in the back here are much more comfortable. They have a little more thigh support, and they actually recline and slide forward and back, so you can actually give the people in the second row more space if you need it. And you also have these brand new touchscreens, which is pretty cool. You can actually see the navigation. See my reflection there. You can actually see the navigation. So when you're going and you want to go to see, I don't know, Taco Bell or something, you can actually type it in here and send that information right up to the people in the front. It'll display in the nav display up there, and they just have to agree. Really cool. If you have an Android device, you can actually mirror cast some of your videos and what have you to the screen as well. Or of course you can plug it in via HDMI. There's HDMI hookups down here. If you want to plug in, like, I guess, a DVD player or something, you can play it right on there. And of course you have a USB-C hookups as well if you want to charge your electronic devices. Separate AC for the people here in the back as well, which is nice. Now I want to talk about the third row here, and if you've ever sat in the back of the previous model, you'll know it's very, very small. There's not much space there. As you can see, if you slide the seat forward a little bit, there is a huge amount, 40% more leg room in this third row. It's actually suitable for an adult now. I can sit back here. You can comfortably, again, I'm 5'8", I'm not really tall, but even someone my size comfortably fits in the back row, and that's something you just could not say about the previous model. It's much more practical and much more comfortable back there for sure. It's no longer a penalty box that you'd only want to go like for a 5-minute drive in. Now, one other area where you're going to see a significant difference in terms of the utility of this new truck is in the back here. The previous design just didn't have much in the way of cargo space. If you had the seats up, it was really small. You could get maybe a bag of groceries back there. This current one, though, much more space. There's even a little storage area here below if you want to put some, I don't know, first aid kit or something in there. Now here in the back, you can actually lay the second row down, which is pretty cool. It'll flip down out of the way there, and you can also power down the third row here in an SLT. Now in the other models, this will be a manual seat like in an SLE or whatever, but in this SLT here, which is very nicely equipped, it is a power option. So it's really convenient. If you need to put it back up, it'll power back up as well. It's really nice. Of course, you can see there's tethers back here. You can actually put 3 across car seats here in the back. And again, this seat is much more practical in terms of actually being usable as a real seat versus the old model. Now, under the hood here is the major difference between like the SLT, Yukon, and the Denali. And that's in the size of the motor and the power of the motor. This one has a 5.3 liter engine in it. Now, for 2021, there's actually an optional diesel engine. I haven't had a chance to drive it in the new Yukons, but I have driven it in the Sierra, and it is probably my favorite engine we sell now. It's phenomenal. The torque, it has the same amount of torque as the 6.2 you find in the Denali over there basically at idle. It's a phenomenal engine, really has great get up and go. I'm looking forward to trying one of those. But the standard 5.3 is still, makes over 300 horsepower. It's very peppy. It certainly has plenty of power. For, you know, if you're not looking to tow a giant boat or something like that, or you have to have the most powerful truck in the world, the 5.3 has more than enough get up and go to move the truck very nicely. But that is one differential that, you know, sometimes when people are looking at whether they want the SLT or the Denali, that motor is one of the things that I think definitely drives a little bit of that difference. Now, this is the other Denali we just got in. As you can see, the wheels are different. These are a 22-inch wheel versus a 20-inch wheel on that Yukon SLT. Now, you could opt to get the 22s on the Yukon. It is optional, but the Denali Ultimate's going to come standard with those 22-inch wheels. You'll also notice these running boards retract. So when you close the door, they fold in. When you open the door, they fold out. Gives it a little clean appearance. People definitely like that. It's a nice feature for sure. The Denali badging on the outside, of course. Main difference you get is the grille is definitely different here in the front. It's a very unique grille. I love the styling this year. They definitely give it a little more bold appearance. The hood is taller, as it looks a little bit more like the Sierras. I really, really love the looks of this new Denali. It's a very handsome truck for sure. Now inside here, you're going to notice there is As I said, a totally different dash design. Here on the door panel is different. This is an open pore wood. You can't really tell in a video here, but it has a nice grain to it. Very premium feel. The wood actually goes up a little farther over the handle. It doesn't do that in the SLT. As you can see, this dash is a totally different design. The dash does not have the monitor here on top. It's built into the dash design itself. You have that nice open pore wood there. You have a piano black accents here in the center, and then a little nice more open pore wood covering the cup holders and what have you. So it's definitely a little more unique look. This here, a lot of the same functionality, but a little different dash pad. And if you look at the stitching here, this stitching is unique to the Denali. Really nice. Kind of reminds me of like a baseball or something. It's really cool. And this is unique to the Denali. As I said, the leather's a little nicer in it. A little nicer quality. Gives it a kind of a premium. Of course, you have the Denali accents here in the middle. Other than that, very similar in terms of equipment. This one does have the panoramic roof as well. Here in the back, you have the same quad seats. Headrest up here, same touchscreen monitors. All that's very similar. So when you go from a Denali to an SLT, other than things like the leather quality, the stitching, the wood, really the main difference mechanically is the motor. Now there are some other options here, depending on the Denali you look at. They have some features that added like an air ride suspension this year, which is really cool. And it just depends. You know, a Denali can vary greatly based on the equipment that's on it. But the base Denali and the base SLT, there's not a huge difference. Once you start adding a bunch of other stuff, though, it gets to be pretty big difference in terms of cost and equipment. This one, as I said, is about $12,000 more expensive than the SLT. So just kind of depends on what you're looking for. Space-wise, they are exactly the same. Here in the back, the Denali is going to have the same amount of space here. No difference between the SLT and that in terms of that. This one, of course, has the power seats just like the other one does. So that's going to be a nice feature on both of them.